Technology is a better investment than people. In one generation, the oil industry did away with gas station attendant jobs. The oil industry realizes what's one of their highest costs of doing business. It's not the gasoline, it's the guy pumping it. So what they did was they offered a self-service option for a couple of cents less. So in a generation, they changed consumer behavior. Now, how many gas station attendants do you see? Well, the same thing's going to happen in this coming generation. When my child is my age, he will never see a server. A server now, bartender, is costing too much money. It's taking too much of the portion of the money a customer spends in a restaurant. Far too much to make sense. So now you'll see the restaurant industry go to tablets. The customer's going to do the work of the server. They're going to review the menu. They're going to do the ordering. They're going to process the payment.
Wait staff or delivery drivers don't get paid minimum wage, and they definitely do rely on their tips for everything. Our delivery guys, they don't make a lot during the wintertime, but during the summertime when it's busy, they definitely make a lot more money, and it makes up for not making anything during the wintertime. Getting paid $6 or $7 an hour, but you're doing the work of someone who gets paid $13 an hour. You're driving your own vehicle, you're putting in your own gas, wear and tear on your car. It's not fair to take that away from someone who worked for it. They go to the door, they greet the people, waiters and waitresses. They come to the table, they serve you your food, they have a conversation with you. That's part of their job. It's customer relations, and they deserve to get paid for it. The $6 or $7 that they make on the books, that doesn't justify what they're doing. It's a service they're putting out. I don't go to a restaurant just to get food. I go to a restaurant to get food, to speak with the people. A lot of the restaurants I go to, I know the wait staff. I know who's making my food behind the kitchen or behind the wall. Some places have open kitchens, whatever. But I go there to see them, and I want them to pay their bills. I want them to take care of their kids. I want them to be able to make their car payments, but they can't do that if they're getting $6. And also I think that the gratuity that the Davidson Brothers is adding to the bill, going to the restaurant is kind of baloney, because aren't you already making a profit that goes towards your restaurant?
There's a service fee included on top of that. You know, how the breakdown goes, I have no idea. I mean, we haven't chosen to do that, but I'm guessing that is the way that more restaurants are going to be heading. You know, we sit right next to them, and a lot of their staff members are still there, and I don't see it hurting their business.
Giving a tip makes me feel like I've done a good job, makes me feel like I'm being appreciated. At the end of the day, if you don't have anything in the tip jar, it's kind of sucky. You're just like, oh, well, nobody liked me today, try again tomorrow. And when you're the one distributing the tips at the end of the night, everyone's happy. They're like, oh, yeah. A lot of people in the summertime, their tips it's going towards school. They don't work during the school year when they go away, so they need that money to buy food, to buy books, things that they need.
That's their business, that's their choice. I have choices too. I would never work for an establishment under those circumstances.
Well, Davidson Brothers took an unusual step. This is a step that's been taken by some restaurants. Minimum wage for tipped employees went from $5 to $7.50, a 50% increase. It comes down to this: any increase in an expense, particularly such a very large increase in your largest expense, must be passed on to the customer. The owners don't have some big fat bank account somewhere where they go take money from. When the payroll is due every week on Thursday, that's the money the customer spent here in the previous week.
A really, really, really good chain restaurant makes 5 cents on the dollar. So mom and pops, if you're lucky, 3.5 to 4 cents, if you're really good at it. So you have to sell a lot of burgers and beers and chicken wings to hit some good numbers to actually make a livable wage for a restaurant owner.
The mistake Davidson Brothers made was this. To the people out there in social media and everything, a lot of which I didn't see personally, I can say this: a lot of the comments have to do with the fact they're under the impression that the owners of the restaurant are keeping money. Well, even if that were true, then we would have no staff. I do say this honestly to every customer. Customers do not have the right to determine what the compensation will be to our employees. Our employees, our staff, are our responsibility as business owners, just like every other business owner in this nation. The restaurant industry is the only industry where we subject our employees to the whims of the customer, and that's wrong. There's nowhere else that you go where you buy a good or a service, other than the restaurant industry, where you as a customer determine what that person servicing you makes. You don't go into a convenience store and because someone treated you gruffly say, well, I'm going to pay $2 less for that. You don't buy a car and when it comes time to write the check to the dealership say, hey, Fred, the salesman treated me really well. I want to give him an extra $300. You know, a person of color in general gets tipped much less, you know, than a blonde white girl. Gay people get tipped less. Older people get tipped less. It's the ultimate in discrimination. If any employer in this nation discriminated against their employees by paying them different rates for the same service, there's laws for that. But there's no law to say that a customer can't discriminate against our employees, and that's just wrong.